Good evening and welcome to the Town Board of the Town of Ossining regular meeting for Tuesday, February 9th, my nephew's birthday, 2021. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Victoria Gregg is in the...
Ready? Or I guess we'll wait for Greg to do the pledge. And here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Perfect timing, everybody. Thank you very much. Okay, we're off to our roll call.
Councilmember Feldman,
She's just signing in.
okay, I'll go back there. Councilmember Shaw,
Present.
Councilmember Meyer,
Present.
Councilmember Wiltshire,
Present.
Supervisor
I'm
Levenberg?
here.
Ms. Feldman, yeah.
I am
So
here.
Councilmember Shaw, Councilmember Feldman, and then Supervisor Levenberg. There you
We are here.
Okay.
Okay, so we are going to get started with some announcements.
Can't hear you.
You can or cannot? Can you hear me?
I'm calling in on my phone. I'm having a problem with my
Did you have a blackout?
Internet.
Did you have a little
Yes.
mini blackout?
We all had a mini blackout. So you might want to just reset it. Maybe you lost your Wi-Fi or something like that.
yeah, but I'm gonna go out and come right back.
Okie doke. All right. I'll start up my announcements. I don't think you're going to miss much. Okay. Okay. So we are off to a wintry start this week. Some people say, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. And I say, let it stop snowing. But thank you to our highway and parks crew who spent most of Super Bowl Sunday salting and plowing the roads. I'm not even sure that they actually made it back in time for kickoff, but fingers crossed a few of them did. Then, of course, they were out again today. I actually think the snow started a little earlier than anybody expected this morning. This week's storm added at least 5 inches to the piles we already had built up last week, and it looks like another round may already be on its way. Just as a reminder, if you have a sidewalk, you need to shovel it in front of your home. Also, please remember to shovel out any nearby fire hydrants if they are still covered in snow. During an emergency, every second counts, and no one wants to lose time digging out a frozen hydrant. Regardless of whether we get more snow this week, temperatures are expected to be very low, so be prepared, dress warmly, and stay safe. The vaccine rollout continues to be very slow. The current demand for vaccines largely outweighs the current supply. We are hearing concerns about access to the vaccine from our residents and will continue to work with county and state representatives to make sure that Ossining residents have access to the vaccine. I know that we heard a lot from our county executive the other day that it's, just a distribution issue at this point, and we are beholden to the state. So when we get the vaccine, we'll do whatever we can to help get it out. A program that had been launched in Greenberg to help seniors navigate the vaccine registration website to schedule appointments was brought to our attention, and we are looking to create a similar program in Ossining for seniors and essential workers to help ease the stress of this complicated process. Volunteers interested in helping seniors can reach out to my office at dlevenberg@townofossining.com. One challenge of this program will be to help deter scams targeting vulnerable populations. Vaccines are free to all residents, and you cannot pay to hold your place in line. Residents are encouraged to report vaccine fraud or abuse to the state hotline at 1-833-VAX, which is VAX, SCAM, SCAM. Those are the letters for the numbers. Tests are still readily available in Ossining. Star of Bethlehem Church is offering tests on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's COVID test, obviously. Testing is also available at Open Door, CVS, and other sites. You can call them directly or use the test finder feature, find a test site near you on the New York State website. If you attended a Super Bowl party, please get tested, even if you have no symptoms. Give yourself peace of mind and rule out the chance that you are an asymptomatic spreader. Vaccines are racing to end the pandemic, but the more contagious strains are gaining ground. So wear your mask, even wash your hands and get tested if you're interacting with people outside your household. OVAC is also administering rapid tests by appointment. Go to their Facebook page to get instructions about signing up. In last week's announcements, I shared some information about Black History Month events happening in Ossining. Bethany Arts Community continues to host events throughout the month, including some exciting musical performances and history, focusing on change makers from Ossining's Black community. You can register for those events through Bethany's Facebook page or website. There's also a wonderful exhibit of the Black families that were the backbone of Ossining. I had the pleasure of seeing the exhibit with village historian and curator of the exhibit, Joyce Schrock Cole, last Saturday, and Mayor Levin joined me, and I highly recommend it. Ms. Cole also mentioned that the show will continue to grow, so they keep adding more and more to it, and it's really fantastic. So it's definitely worth visiting and revisiting. The Sing Sing Prison Museum's Justice Talks series is holding a conversation on Ossining's Black history also next Thursday at 6 p.m. Tune in to learn about Ossining's prominent business owners, women leaders, and those who were employed by Sing Sing Prison. You can register through the museum's Facebook page or website for more information about Black History Month events and other events in Ossining. I encourage you to check out the supervisor's update email blast that goes out Friday afternoons. It's also posted on the town website. In recent supervisors updates, I had been sharing some local job opportunities. We recently learned that Westchester County will be holding a virtual job fair for Playland Park positions, which is good news because obviously that means that they're anticipating that they may have jobs open there this summer, which would be great. Visit the virtual job board at playlandpark.org/work_at_playland. Review the many positions available, everything from ride operators to lifeguards, and submit your application online. Qualified candidates will be contacted to schedule virtual interviews on Saturday, February 20th and Sunday, February 21st. Finally, I would like to take a moment to address an email that has been circulated on social media that I sent to members of the town and village boards and a few staff members in July. In a community as diverse as ours, it is of utmost importance to make every decision with an eye towards equity. If the way that I phrased that sentiment in the letter made it look like I meant anything less, I sincerely apologize because it was certainly not my intention. And I did post on my Ossining supervisor, Dana Levenberg, Facebook page with the full explanation of that. And you're welcome to read that, but I'll just continue to share a little bit about that, which basically is that this year was challenging in many ways, including the maintenance and operation of our town parks as they were being utilized in numbers we had never seen before. With more people came quality of life concerns like increased garbage and relaxed attitudes towards COVID safety protocols. Also, Governor Cuomo was issuing executive orders almost daily, limiting the size of gatherings and other group activities. We were faced with a challenging task, creating welcome spaces for people to get outdoors while following executive orders and keeping people safe. During the summer of 2020, we also experienced a renewed national movement to address systemic racism in law enforcement. Many in the community, including some elected officials, were calling on the town to deploy police into the parks to monitor park users and issue tickets for noncompliance. In a diverse community and in the spirit of the very valid nationwide concerns regarding traditional policing, I felt this was not a responsible solution, one that could likely make the situation worse, not better. Instead, I wrote the email that is now circulating on social media, offering a variety of alternatives the town could employ to address these quality of life concerns, employing more park attendants, bringing in lifeguards for the spray park, purchasing more garbage cans, and public messaging. I believe these alternatives to policing were better uses of taxpayer dollars and achieved our goal of fostering welcome spaces for all to enjoy while addressing the safety of our residents during a pandemic. This situation has reminded me that we have a lot of hard work ahead of us as a society to strive to be anti-racist and attempt to right generations of injustice. I resolve to always try to do better, work harder, and evaluate policy decisions through the lens of equity with great respect for our beautiful, wonderful, diverse Ossining. Do any of my other board members want to share any comments or announcements?
I have a couple of comments on this, actually. I'm not on Facebook, and a couple of people have contacted me, so I have a gist of what's being said about you, Dana, on Facebook, and it's one of the reasons I'm not on Facebook, actually. So my recollection of this whole thing was we were getting a lot of complaints from community members about the parks, particularly about garbage, things like loud music, issues like that. The village was also getting its share of complaints, and the village kind of came to us and said we should have a cohesive plan going forward, because most people don't know if they're in a village or a town park. And the village's side of it was that we should do more police enforcement. We should be handing out tickets. And I had a lot of concerns about that. When I had been at Engle Park, not only was I seeing more people at the park, but I was seeing more people of color at the park. And at a time when there was all this social unrest, there were all these issues with the police, and at a time when we were, as a community, examining equity in Ossining, I did not think that more police enforcement, ticketing people suddenly when there were more people of color at the park was the way to go. And we had a discussion. I had a discussion with you, Dana, on this, and we agreed on this. So your thoughts were to come up with solutions that didn't involve the police, didn't involve enforcement, and you gave some of the suggestions in your announcements. So to take that and to twist it into negatively against you, I think it's really disrespectful. And it's one of the reasons I'm not on Facebook, because it's taken out of context and then it just takes on a whole life of its own and it has no actual truth or fact. The whole goal, and your goal and the town's goal, as well as the village's goal, is always to make the parks safe, accessible, and welcoming. And police enforcement was not going to be the way to go, particularly in the environment we were in the summer and we are in now. And I still think that your solutions and your strategies were the better way to go.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything else that they want to add or share? Any other announcements? Okie doke. All right, well, in that case, let's launch into our meeting. Thank you so much, Councilman Shaw. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your support. Okay, so let me just see. Up next, I think we have a wonderful departmental report from Honorable Suzanne Donnelly, our town clerk and village clerk.
That's correct. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Supervisor and council members. It's always a joy to come here, and Martha will be continuing on the meeting with you. And so I'm just going to give the report on the clerk's department. Tell me if you can't hear me, because sometimes my machine goes slightly bonkers. The clerk's office and responsibility have changed over the past years in small ways as well as large ways. We continue to follow Marianne's focus of customer service while understanding our role of doing the right thing for the majority of the constituents. The major change is the fact that our commitment was to move many licenses and permits online as soon as possible, which was accomplished, believe it or not, with the help of the pandemic. Yes, we have manned the office every day through the pandemic, and yes, we have upgraded our systems as needed, so we could and can continue to work from home to react to the increased requests for death certificates during these very trying times. We have moved such requests as birth, marriage, and death certificate records online, which are ordered and paid for through Seamless Docs, a program we were introduced to by other communities, as well as a very supportive sales staff who allowed us to test drive the product by using marriage license requests online. We have successfully issued over 250 marriage licenses with all pandemic protocols in place. From dog licenses to cabaret licenses, all residences and business owners have to simply go online, either to the clerk's page or to forms at the top of the home page to see all the licenses and permits you can complete and pay online, and choose to come into the office or have us mail you the copies you need. People need these documents for many reasons, some being to receive Social Security, as well as enhanced driver's license, to name a few. With the support of both the town and village boards, we purchased the product and instantly began using it, mostly thanks to Martha. Martha is a little genius on this program. I must give her all credit. It has allowed our office to focus on streamlining the process of filling out applications, as well as tighter control on our licensing. Handicap tags are the responsibility of the clerk's office. Should you require a temporary 6-month permit, or a permanent, which is actually 5 years tag, you must fill out the form from the state of New York and have your doctor complete his or her section. Either bring the form into the office during normal COVID hours, which are 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., along with your driver's license, or mail the form to the office with a copy of your driver's license. We will issue you your handicap tag that will hang from your rearview mirror only when needed, and of course, only can be used when the handicapped person is in the vehicle. After major delays, we are now selling hunting and fishing licenses in the clerk's office. The state decided to change the software and printer just before the pandemic hit. It took months before we could get the system working again. And while many communities believe that the pittance that the local government receives is not worth the effort needed, we feel it is important to offer this service to our residents. The clerk's office has gone electronic filing for about 90% of its documents in 2020. Yes, we are the keeper of the records, and yes, we keep hard copies with original signed documents and items such as vehicles for the town, titles for the vehicles of the town, and of course, our historical files go back to the 1800s. Because our files are so extensive and sometimes we need time to do research to accomplish a request, please be patient with us, especially if you are asking for historical information. During the pandemic, the only place the public can go in the municipal building, 16 Croton Avenue, is the clerk's office on the first floor. We have opened our offices to other town and village departments in the building, as well as retrofitting our records room. Together, we have concluded village and school tax collection with the village finance office and the town tax receivers. January was extremely busy month, but with all departments, we made it work with all hands on deck, collecting all the information and taxes they needed for their departments. When you come into the municipal building, you will be greeted by one of our staff who will take your temperature and ask you no more than 6 questions concerning you and COVID. This is not a case, certainly not to invade your privacy, but rather to have contact tracing should the need arise. If you are uncomfortable with this, we suggest you call, email, or even mail your request to the individual department. We ask your patience when you are downstairs as we call the department you wish to speak to, and they send down a representative. We are all doing our best through these very tough times and ask for your cooperation. In 2019, the town received a grant to organize their file retention systems, and with the help of 2 great consultants, we have organized about 75% of stored files. Set up a file system in the John Paul Rodriguez Operations Center, trained every department on how to continue to upkeep the systems, and put into place as we move other departments onto electronic filing for the future. We have systems in place that ensure 3 sets of backups are made daily. 2 are kept in site and 1 is always kept off site. So we have our redundancy that is required by the state of New York. Foils are the responsibility of the clerk's office, and all requests must be done online. We receive over 1,250 requests each year from both the town and the village of Ossining combined. By using an application we have from Edmunds, we can follow the request from when the request comes in to the response by the appropriate department. Please understand that a FOIL is not meant for general information. You must ask for specific information. A FOIL request will be responded to within 5 days of receipt of the FOIL, and the department has between 10 and 20 days to respond to that request. There have been some instances where extensions are requested, as well as other instances where the response has almost been immediate. As in many of our fellow departments, we are part of shared services between the town and village of Ossining. Many of our functions under the the Village of Ossining umbrella are used by town residents and departments. For example, we have taken over the management of taxi services here in Ossining. We spent a Saturday with the Ossining Police Department in our office, licensing the taxi driver, inspecting the vehicles, and licensing the taxi companies. Please refer to our Facebook.
Sue, you cut off. Sue?
Uh-oh. Sue,
All vehicle, yeah, I'm sorry.
we lost you. Go back a couple paragraphs. For whatever reason, you just cut out.
No, was I in foils yet?
Yeah, you
We're
were
talking about
past the foils. You were
taxis.
mixed foils, yeah.
Taxis, after taxis.
Oh, we're on the tax, we're still on taxis.
Okay.
I'll start on taxis again.
Okay.
For example, we have taken over the management of the taxi services in Ossining. We spent a Saturday with the Ossining Police Department at our office, licensing the taxi drivers, inspecting the vehicles, and licensing the companies. Please refer to our Facebook page or the web page of both the village and the town for a list of authorized taxi companies in Ossining. It is against the law for a taxi company not registered in Ossining to pick up fares in Ossining. The Ossining Police have inspected all vehicles and medallions have been issued if they passed. All drivers have their license checked through DMV by the police department, and only those with clean driving records are issued taxi driver licenses, which must be clearly displayed on the passenger side of the dashboard as you enter the cab. So as you get into the cab, you should see it where you would see it in New York City on the passenger side of the dashboard.
Is that true for like Uber and Lyft too?
I'm sorry?
For like Uber and Lyft, is that true? They don't expect.
No, we do not do anything with Uber and Lyft.
Okay.
That is, we have no jurisdiction over that.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. All pandemic precautions must be followed. Any compliments or complaints should be addressed to the clerk's office. You can email me at sdonnelly, SDONNELLY, @townofosning.com, or call during business hours to 914-762-8428. We will see that issues are addressed and that the company receives all the compliments you want to give. Other functions of the clerk's office that affect those who live in the unincorporated area of the town, as well as those who live in the village of Ossining and 91% of the village of Briarcliff Manor, are train station parking and muni parking should you work in the village of Ossining. We do muni parking for them. Lastly, we are well, it's not lastly, but in this notice, it's lastly. Lastly, we are the switchboard and Google for both the town and village of Ossining. At least 50% of our calls are for other departments, residents looking for information about local government, county government, and even state government. We also take care of all U.S. mails and packages from any shipping companies. Sorting mail may sound trivial, but it is an essential part. It is essential that your correspondence gets to the right department, especially if it is time sensitive. Thank you.
Fantastic. You guys have been busy, and I remember you mentioned showing up on a Saturday to help with tax collection and making sure that we have our offices open before the nor'easter. And then you showed up in the nor'easter as well.
During the nor'easter.
I think today the snowy day, or was yesterday? Which day is snowy?
Today was the icy day. It was
icy
today.
Right. This morning it was, they got the calls late, I think, for the roads, and they got out late, and it was hard, and you guys made it in, and it was snowing until I don't know what time, 1 o'clock or something like that. So, and then it started. So thank you again.
We were there. We were there.
I don't think we have a lot of people, but thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the clerk's office, since we have a lot of our clerk's office here tonight? Any questions? Compliments? They take compliments, even if it's not just for tax.
I just want to thank you all for the hard work that you do. You've gone above and beyond in the pandemic. You get there no matter what, better than the mailman, obviously.
Obviously.
And thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
I think you guys have been doing a great job, Sue.
And Martha is a big part of it too.
I knew you could.
Great. Thanks for all your hard work. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Martin,
Thank you for all the modernization. It couldn't have come at a better time.
There's a few silver linings in the pandemic, and that forcing us to work a lot faster on modernizing certain functions was one of those silver linings.
Agreed.
Yeah, that was a big chunk of our summer, was moving all of our forms online.
Yeah, and moving all of your records all over the place too, by the way. I mean,
Yes.
there's a lot of moving of a lot of stuff and making space for everybody to work out of that other office. I mean, it's really been a young woman's job, I would say, a young woman's job.
It's almost like a dance when it's busy in there. It's almost like a dance. Everybody has their place and everybody just stands there and moves everybody along. So it has worked out, and the public has been extremely cooperative 95% of the time. So it's, you know, and I understand if people don't want to give up their personal information when they walk into a building. I really don't understand, but I do understand if they don't want to. Simply call and you can send your information in that you want to, because we're not forcing anyone into the building, but we are taking all cautionary procedures because there's some of us that have been there handling the customers the whole time. So the
Absolutely.
constituents, I should call them, and customers is from my old world.
But we
All
do,
right.
and we have to do the
Thank you
contact
very
tracing
much.
prior. So thank you very much. Thanks for your time tonight, and thanks for the excellent report. Really appreciate it and all the hard work.
And I'm going to leave you in the great hands of Martha now to take care of the meeting. All right.
Wonderful.
Bye, guys. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Do we have any liaison reports now? Any liaison reports? Okay. Hearing none, let's go into our public comment on agenda items. Seeing nobody here from the public, we will go into our board resolutions, please.
Okay, approval of minutes, regular meeting, January 26, 2021. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austin hereby approves the January 26, 2021 minutes of the regular meeting as presented.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Approval of voucher detail report. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austin hereby approves the voucher detail report dated February 9th, 2021 in the amount of $445,411.
Motion?
So move.
Second.
Our voucher detail report is a little high this week with our January IMA payment to the village and annual general liability insurance included in this run. Any questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Approval of mini bid award and purchase of one electric 14,500 GVWR Ford E450 chassis W/14 passenger bus, Town of Austin senior program. Whereas the New York State Office of General Services under Award 23166 allows all state agencies and political subdivisions to purchase or lease new Class 1 through Class 8 vehicles on an as-needed basis via a competitive mini bid process executed via the New York State Vehicle Marketplace during the contract period of November 14th through November 14, 2019 through November 13, 2029. And whereas the town of Austin is an authorized user in the New York State Vehicle Marketplace and has utilized this method to purchase and lease vehicles in the past, and whereas the town of Austin received $75,000 in grant funding from the Community Development Block Grant Program for the purchase of an electric bus for the Senior Nutrition Program, and whereas on November 2nd, 2020, the town of Austin submitted a mini bid request for an electric 14,500 GVWR Ford E450 chassis with 14 passenger bus for the Senior Nutrition Program, and whereas on November 23rd, 2020, the mini bid period closed with one offer for Don Brown Bus Sales Incorporated. Now therefore be a result that the town board of the town of Austin authorizes the supervisor to accept the offer from Don Brown Bus Sales Incorporated, Johnstown, New York, in the amount of $207,311 for the purchase of an electric 14,500 GVWR Ford E450 chassis with 14 passenger bus for the Senior Nutrition Program, and be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute any necessary documents to facilitate the purchase of this bus for the Senior Nutrition Program.
Do I have a motion?
So move. Second.
At our last regular meeting, we approved the financing for the purchase of a fully electric bus to supplement a grant that we received through the Community Development Block Grant Program in 2019. We utilized the New York State mini bid system to receive a competitive quote, and we heard that we got a very good price. So we're happy about that. And we're looking forward to getting the order placed and the bus on the road, hopefully in the not too distant future. As I mentioned, I think it takes about 7 months. So any questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Stipulation of agreement, the CSEA. Be it so resolved that upon the recommendation of the town supervisor, the stipulation of agreement between the town, CSEA Local 1000, and Lynn Mueller is hereby ratified and approved.
Motion?
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Proposal for assistance in preparation of the MS4 annual stormwater report for program year 2020 to 2021. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austin accepts the proposal for AI Engineers, Dolph Rothfeld Engineering Division, Alfred, New York, for assistance in preparation of the MS4 annual stormwater report for program year 2020 to 2021 at a fee of $2,750.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Second.
So every year we're required to complete our MS4 stormwater report required by the state. We've been working with Dolph Rothfeld Engineers on this on an annual basis because we did get a price from them that they gave to a number of municipalities, which was very competitive. And we look forward to doing the same again this year. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
SCQRA lead agency, Borrego Solar, 381 North Highland Avenue. Be it resolved that the town board hereby consents to the planning board serving as lead agency for coordinated review pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act of the application of Borrego Solar to install a battery energy storage system on the property located at 381 North Highland Avenue in the unincorporated town.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Moved. Second.
At last week's work session, we heard from the folks at Borrego Solar about a battery energy storage system proposal that they would like to put in at St. Augustine's Church. Since the town adopted legislation stipulating a floating zone for this, the town board will eventually need to for a review, but we're actually asking that the planning board would be agency. Council Donna, do you want to explain anything else about the process?
Yeah, so as we talked about last week, the applicant had already started through the process before the planning board while the board was this board was considering the local law. And the planning board has done a considerable amount of the environmental review required under SECRA, but this board wasn't an involved agency, meaning an agency that had approval authority until a couple of weeks ago when the local law was passed. So because they're still going through the process, they have to now get an approval from this board as well. But so instead of having to wait the statutory 30 days for the planning board to re-notice the intent to be lead agency, this board discussed at the work session last week, consenting to the planning board being lead agency, which is standard procedure in the town because the planning board does this on a much more regular basis, having considered the environmental review. So this is more just a procedural matter. Once the planning board finishes SECRA, I understand there are a few more issues regarding possible historic resources on the site. So we wanted to get input from the State Historic Preservation Office. I had spoken with our planner earlier today about that. And then there may be a couple more things, but the planning board will be wrapping that up. And then the applicant will come back to this board for a public hearing on the floating zone.
Okay, fantastic. All right, with that, any questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Okay, acceptance of bid, McCarthy Drive Road Rehabilitation and Water Main Replacement. Whereas the town of Austin invited sealed bids pursuant to section 103 of the general municipal law of the state of New York for the rehabilitation and reconstruction of McCarthy Drive, including replacement of approximately 2,000 linear feet of water main to be paid for by the Village of Austin Water Fund and related improvements. And whereas a public notice was advertised in the Journal News on December 7th, 2020. And whereas the town received 7 sealed bids, which bids were publicly opened by the town clerk at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, December 29th, 2020. And whereas the lowest responsible bid was submitted by Montesano Brothers Incorporated, 76 Plain Avenue, New Rochelle, New York, 10801, with the bid price of $2,465,995. And whereas The town engineer, Paul Frioli, and the town's consultant engineer for this project, James Natarelli of Dove Broadfield Engineering, have both recommended that the town retain the services of Montesano Brothers Incorporated. And whereas, as its January 26, 2021 regular meeting, the town board unanimously duly adopted a resolution authorizing the issuance of a serial bonds to fund the project, which includes funding for payment of the contractor hired to do the work, in which bond issuance is subject to permissive referendum. And now therefore be resolved that the McCarthy Drive Road Rehabilitation Town and Water Main Replacement Village Project is hereby awarded to Montesano Brothers Incorporated, 76 Plain Avenue, New Rochelle, New York, 10801, for the total bid price of $2,465,995. And be it further resolved, the town supervisor is hereby authorized to enter into an agreement with Montesano Brothers Incorporated with the terms as outlined in this resolution. The agreement and accompanying bid documents subject to approval by council to the town as to form. And be it further resolved, the town supervisor and all applicable town officers, staff, and consultants shall comply with the requirement of New York law, New York local finance law, and New York town law, and any other applicable law with respect to the bond issuance to fund the project being subject to permissive referendum. And the town shall not commit itself to the funding nor actually fund any portion of the project until the statutory time period for the permissive referendum has expired, or if a petition is duly filed within the statutory time period until it is approved by an affirmative vote of a majority of the qualified electors of the town voting on the proposition.
Do you have a motion?
So
So moved.
second,
So also at our last legislative session, we approved the financing for the town's portion of the McCarthy Drive Road Rehabilitation and Water Main Replacement Project. In December, we received 7 competitive bids for this project and are awarding the project to the lowest bidder tonight, who we have heard is responsible. So that's been a long time coming since the town determined McCarthy Drive was a dedicated town road some years ago. It's great to see this project is going to finally get off the ground or get into the ground. Any discussion or questions? Or be to ground? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Correspondence to be received and filed. Result of the town board of the town of Austin hereby accepts the following correspondence. Town planning board minutes, December 16th, 2020.
Motion?
So moved.
second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Monthly reports. Result of the town board of the town of Austin hereby accepts the following monthly reports for the month of January 2021. Tax receiver's office, town clerk, GE helicopter, Dale Cemetery, town supervisor, and town highway.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next up, visitor recognition. Seeing none. Might I please have a motion to adjourn into executive session for personnel, advice of counsel, and contracts?
So moved.
second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Our next meeting will be at town hall. That's, that's, I guess, either wishful thinking or I don't know. Anyway, it'll be a town meeting Tuesday, February 16th at 7:30 p.m. I think we're going to be hearing an update on our food scraps recycling program. And do we have, I can't remember if we have one other item on the agenda at this moment or not.
I believe we have County Executive Latimer joining us, right?
Oh, we're not sure. We're still waiting to hear.
Perhaps.
We haven't heard back yet, but we possibly are going to have County Executive Latimer with us giving a COVID update. Fingers crossed. If not, then we are going to make time for him at whatever meeting he would like to come to. So as usual, you'll be able to join us via Zoom or dial in by phone. Information for each meeting is posted on our website each Friday and included in my supervisor's report. Have a wonderful night, everyone. We'll see you soon.